They say the world remembers kings for the battles they won, but Oduduwa was remembered for the world he built. He was not born in Ife. He came from the east, a land of endless sand and restless gods. His father was Oba Lamurudu, ruler of a powerful city set to lie somewhere between Nubia and Mecca. But his land was torn apart by war, a war of faith and spirit. Some worshipped the god of the crescent moon, others clung to the spirits of their ancestors. Oduduwa stood with the old ways. That choice made him an exile. One night, when the sky burned red with rebellion, Oduduwa gathered his loyal warriors, his wife Omoremi, and their newborn son and fled. Behind them, his father's city fell to fire. Before them, the desert opened like the mouth of a god. They wandered for months, surviving on wind and will. The desert took men without mercy. The sun peeled skin from flesh, but every time Oduduwa wanted to stop, the wind whispered his name and said, "Go west, your kingdom awaits you." They reached the edge of the world, forest vast and green where the air smelled of rain instead of dust. The people there spoke a strange tongue and called the land Ilé-Ifẹ. They lived under a gentle ruler, the white-robed Obatala, priest of the sky god. When Oduduwa and his men settled among them, the people watched with curiosity. They wore garments woven with gold, spoke of far lands and ancient gods. Obatala welcomed them at first, but peace between kings is never born of ease. Oduduwa began to build. His warriors cleared trees, raised walls, forged iron, and taught strange customs. Soon, his camp became a city of its own, proud and strong. When Obatala's priest complained, Oduduwa only smiled. "I am not here to take," he said. "I am here to fulfill destiny." But destiny is a dangerous word. One morning, Obatala stood before him and said, "This is my land. You came as a guest. Will you now call yourself king?" Oduduwa rose from his stool, his eyes burning like coals. "The land belongs to whoever can make it rise. Ife sleeps and I have come to wake her." That was the spark. For 7 days, war drenched the forest, spears clashed, blood soaked the earth, and thunder cracked as if the sky itself chose a side. They say Obatala fought not with sword but with charms, calling upon the wind and the rain. But Oduduwa was not an ordinary man. The spirits of his ancestors walked behind him like shadows. His sword shone like a star in darkness. When the storm cleared, Obatala lay wounded, and the people of Ife bowed to the stranger from the east. Yet, Oduduwa did not destroy his rival. He lifted him, covered him in his own cloak, and said, "The earth has enough space for both of us. I did not come to erase you, but to build upon what you began." From that day, Oduduwa ruled Ilé-Ifẹ as king, not by conquest alone, but by vision. He gathered craftsmen, farmers, hunters, and priests, and built the first kingdom where gods and men could speak. He called it Ilé-Ifẹ, the house of expansion. His queen, Omoremi, was wisdom wrapped in beauty. She sat beside him during councils and tempered his fire with grace. When he sought to build roads across rivers, she reminded him to build peace across hearts. Together they ruled like twin flames, his fierce light and her calm glow. Their children were many and mighty. The first, Okombi, was a builder. The second, Oromio, was born for war. The others, Olowu, Onisabe, Ketu, would later scatter like seeds, each founding new kingdoms. From their blood, the Yoruba world began to breathe, but not everyone welcomed his rise. Far to the east, the mighty kingdom of Benin grew restless. Their ruler, Oba, heard of the stranger who called himself founder of all lands. he sent messengers to Ife with a warning. Return the lands you claim. No man plants roots where another god already reigns. Oduduwa laughed and sent back a single arrow broken in half. Tell your king, he said, that the arrow of envy never pierces the heart of destiny. That insult birthed a war that shook the forest. The Benin army marched like a swarm of locusts. Oduduwa met them with iron and thunder. His warriors moved like ghosts through trees, guided by charms Omoremi herself prepared. They say when the river turned red with blood, Omoremi stood on the hills of Ife, her hair loose, chanting prayers to Oshun, goddess of love and victory. And when she raised her hands, rain fell upon Oduduwa's warriors, healing them as it burned their enemies. By the war's end, Benin was humbled. Aganron's son, Ekaladeran, fled into exile, cursing the gods who had betrayed his house. Some say he vanished into the forest and became a legend. Others whisper that he was the true Oduduwa, that the king of Ife was none other than the Benin's lost prince. The elders never agree, but the earth, they say, remembers truth even when men forget. Years passed. The king's beard grew white, his steps slower, his gaze softer, but his kingdom flourished like never before. Every market echoed with song, every temple sang his name. Yet the palace was uneasy, for his sons had begun to quarrel. Okombi said, I am firstborn, the throne is mine. Aromio laughed. You may build walls, brother, but I build empires. Their voices filled the palace like thunder, and even Omoremi's calm could not quiet them. One night, she went to Oduduwa as he sat alone under the moon. My lord, she said softly, the seed of division is growing in our house. Oduduwa sighed. Then I shall scatter the seeds myself. The next day he gathered his children and said, Ilé-Ifẹ is the root, but every tree must spread. You will each carry my fire to a new land. Okombi, go and build cities. Aromio, go and conquer kings. Olowu, bring wisdom to those who wander. Unisabe, heal the broken. He gave each a crown and a staff, but remember, he warned, forget Ife and your crowns will crumble. They departed with tears and pride. Omoremi watched her sons vanish beyond the forest edge and said, the world will now speak your name in many tongues. Oduduwa ruled for many more seasons, watching his empire stretch beyond imagination. But age is a debt even kings must pay. One dawn, as the sun rose over the 7 hills of Ife, he climbed alone to the sacred hill Okeora. He sat upon the rock, looked toward the horizon, and there he saw where he used to walk from the east and whispered, the journey is done. When they found him, he was smiling, his eyes open, his body cold. They say the ground trembled as they buried him. Some claim that the earth swallowed him whole, others say that he ascended into the sky, carried by the spirits of his ancestors. No one saw his body again, only his staff remained, planted where he had sat, glowing faintly for 7 days and nights before turning to stone. Centuries passed, his children became nations, his name became legend. The Oni of Ife still calls himself the keeper of Oduduwa's spirit. The Alaafin of Oyo claims the flame of his courage. The Oba of Benin insists his blood flows in their veins. And so to this day, the kingdoms still argue over who the true heir of Oduduwa is. But the earth laughs quietly beneath them, because it knows that all of them, every king, every crown, every child, carries a piece of the same story.